Hi, welcome to the 11th of December, and it is the 11th door of the Diamine Inkvent Calendar 2024 edition. And so 11, door number 11 is here, right next to the center of the calendar. So let's see what we have here for today. And it looks like maybe a kind of a brick color, and it's called Grotto, and the ink is extreme sheen. I'm always a little bit afraid of inks that have lots of sheen, just because I really am more of a writer than not a writer, a person that writes than a person that loves all the inks and stuff. So I like the inks not to take forever to dry, and sometimes inks with lots of sheen do. So we'll see. Stay there and I'll show you. So let's see how this one behaves. 1, 2, 3 little droplets. This goes into the glass of water, and I will need to cap the little bottle. Okay, Grotto. And now let's see how these will behave, this kind of color. I'm kind of curious because it says heavy sheen, so I wonder what will come out of here. Let me just spread it a little bit. There are always places where there is more ink than others, and it makes sense just to have a general impression how these will look like. And let me pick this up. I don't think we'll see much now, because it really needs to dry to be able to see the sheen. We'll see. I think maybe there will be some kind of golden sheen. We'll need to let this dry, and then I'll choose a pen for this. I guess I have some ideas for pens of this color, and then I will show you when this is dry. So I'll be right back. So let's take a look at how it looks. We have some sheen for sure, kind of gray gold sheen, gray gold green sheen. So quite intense on those parts where more ink has accumulated. Otherwise it has kind of brick kind of red, so it is an interesting color, I would say. When I compare these with some other inks, let's start first with inks that are not comparable. With inks outside the Inkvent calendar, I was saying this is more like a brick color, because when you compare with the Edelstein Star Ruby, which was an ink also with some sheen, in that way it is kind of comparable. This is a much warmer red. And also with the Kaveco Star Ruby, this is a much warmer red. I also compared it. I think it doesn't matter that much to show you all the reds that I have, but I compared with some other reds that I have, and I don't have many, and all those were either more magenta or were more how can I say that, were less saturated. That's what I meant. So let's compare it with inks from the previous years of the Advent calendar. Here I have reds that are more similar. I have a red with some sheen, which was Noel from 2019, but it is a much kind of burgundy red, so not very comparable. But this Fire Amber, I would say it's almost the same kind of red, but without the sheen. We also have the Vintage Copper, which is a similar red, but this one has shimmer. We have the Ho Ho Ho, which is a different, it's a less saturated kind of red. And finally, we have the Red Robin, also from 2021. And again, it's more similar, but with some shading, not with sheen. So I don't really have any ink that is exactly the same, but I would say if I needed to find one that's similar, it would be this Fire Amber, although without the sheen. Then let me show you the chromatography, and we can see that this ink is not water resistant, because the line that was there on the bottom, you can almost not see it. It's just a little bit faint, and all that spreads. But it's like if the pigment or the dye was too heavy, and it doesn't go up a lot. It stays like that, but it has some resistance because it doesn't go all blank and just a little thin line. But so I would say this is an ink that stains, but it's not really water resistant, but stains where it was. So for this review, I chose two pens again, as usual, and these are the ones. So one is the Parker Centennial Dufold, the big red, a version from a couple of years ago. I like it a lot. It is Dufold with that Ace of Spades with the engraving. And when we look at this, you can see that the feed already has lots of sheen because of the ink. And on the other side, the gold nib is kind of stained, kind of pinkish because of the ink that is on it. This nib is a gold nib with a fine gold nib, and the other pen is this white Lamy Dialogue CC, and it is an interesting pen with rose gold trim, and it has a gold nib that also has got some sheen on it. You can see the sheen also on the feed. This will clean away for sure, but you can see it stains it at least temporarily. And this nib is a gold nib, also made of with a B size. So those were the two nibs and two nib sizes that I chose for this ink. And so here we have the writing samples. On the Moleskine, we can see that this ink behaves really well. So it has no bleed through, which is kind of rare on the Moleskine paper. And we can see there is lots of shading. There is not really any feathering. The ink behaves perfectly, and it sheens so much that you can see there on the kind of a little swatch, you can see. But when we write with it, with the Lamy, you can see the amount of sheen it has. Not so much with the Parker, but you can still see a lot. But with the Lamy, because of the B nib and bigger or larger ink flow, you can see it better. And Moleskine paper is usually not a good paper for sheen. Then we have the Oxford Optic paper, and with this paper I would say that we have more sheen than with the Moleskine paper, and I think you can see it right there. Lots of sheen, and the sheen helps the shading to be a bit to be bigger, and you can see it really shades a lot between letters, and it looks great. It is a red ink, but it doesn't feel like red because it's a very warm red. With this sheen, it's a very particular thing. So no bleed through, except for a few places maybe where I left the nib a little bit more. Finally, we'll go to the Navigator 80 grams per square meter copy paper, and in this paper, because it's very absorbent, there is no sheen. So copy paper is not the best paper for sheen. I think you can see there is no sheen. There is also no feathering. The ink behaves really well even in this paper. Of course we have bleed through, but it's not that serious compared with other inks in this same paper. So this ink behaves quite well. It doesn't shade also on this paper, which is kind of normal. So the best behavior we'll see on Oxford Optic paper, and usually also on the Moleskine paper. Now we will go for the Rhodia, where I made the writing sample and these tests. So about the drying time, it takes 35 seconds and it's not even completely dry. You can see just a little smear there. About the water resistance, you can see there's a very, very faint line. I would say it's not enough to reconstruct what you wrote. So there is a really faint line, but actually there is a stain of ink, which is this kind of stain that didn't go all the way just giving a little margin with color. It stains all the way the paper until it goes up, while it goes up. So that's how it behaves. About the sheen, you can see the sheen there, written with the Parker Centennial do fold. And now let's just write the Fox phrase just to show, to make it as in the other videos. I now have, even here, even on the black plastic, we can have some sheen visible. It's impressive, because I dipped it to feel it from the ink bottle. So you can really see there is sheen everywhere, even on the section. Let's hope this will get out of the pen. I think it will. Let me rub this with my fingers that are stained with ink. And again, fingers are stained and I can't remove it easily. We'll see. So, this ink seems a little dry on paper when we're writing. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So I would say that this ink in a very dry nib, it may seem a little bit, you may have all the feedback that the nib provides. You'll come back to you, I think, because the nib feels, the ink feels very dry on paper. And here with the Lamy, and the ink tends to skip the first letter also. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So this is it. This is how you'll see there is not that much sheen while it is drying, but we can understand, we can predict it, we can feel that the sheen is forming, for example, here on the lower part of the Q letter, because there is more ink there. You can already see some sheen with the Parker, not so much with Lamy, but it will appear. So this is an interesting pen. This is a red that, because of its sheen behavior, and also for because of the shading, it's a really interesting pen, that interesting ink that can be used as if it was not red, and I think it is an interesting ink to have if you like to play with these kind of characteristics. Now, be aware that your pen may get stained, and let's hope this will come out, or will come off the pen, but that's an issue for some other videos. So, thank you Appelboom for sending me this calendar for review, and thank you all for watching, and we'll be back again tomorrow for another video. Bye!